Hey folks, this is the last video I believe we are going to do for Augment3D. In this video I'm going to show you how to drop some color into your lighting fixture. We're going to look at how to focus lights, again turn on and off the work lights, turn haze on and off, and then write a couple light cues. Now, I'm not going to go into writing cues a lot because you all have done this and you all know how to do this. So we're just going to kind of do a little bit of brush up. So where we should be at is we should have our light plot in, everything lined up, our scenery in, everything all set to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop some color into our lighting fixtures, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to our patch in our database, and what I want to do is I want to come over here to gel, and what we're going to do is we're going to type in the gel color. Now usually what you would do is you would type in an R for Roscoe and the number that you wanted to use, but there's a silly lawsuit going on right now. And what you have to do is you have to type CC and then the Roscoe number. I'm not sure why this is all happening, but it is, and this is what we have to do to make it work. Once we're here, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my Light-Right channel hookup, and I'm going to use that information to start dropping color into our lights. Now in my light plot, channels 1 through 8 are my warms, so I'm going to select 1 through 8, enter, and looks like I have those set up already as I need to type in, it's not R04, I did this a little bit earlier. I'm going to type in CC 04 and hit enter, and now those should be right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my next fixtures, which is going to be 9 through 16, enter, and I'm going to change that to Roscoe 62 again, which is CC 62. So I need to make those first go away. CC 62, enter. Okay, and then the next set of fixtures that I have is my top lights, and that is 17 through 24. So 17 through 24, enter, and we are going to make that CC 80. Okay, and then I'm going to go through the rest of my fixtures off video. I'm going to pause just for a second. I'm going to finish coloring the rest of my fixtures. It's going to be exactly the same way. I'm just looking at my channel hookup and coloring the fixtures appropriately. We'll be back in a second. Alright, I'm back. I went through and recolored one of my high sides. And the one thing you're going to notice, if you have some work lights patched in or some running lights patched in, you would color those if you were doing a real show. But for this project and for the sake of rendering, we don't really need to render lights off stage like run lights would be if we would have blue light shining off stage just so the actors could see. We don't really need to have that there. It'll just slow down the rendering and how the computer works. So although I changed them, we don't really need to do that. So don't worry about in your augmented. So we have some colors in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to Augment3D, and I'm going to bring up some. I'm going to take these out here. Okay, and before we start bringing up lights, what I want to do quick is to talk about, I talked about it in our lecture the other day, or the demo, but down here in the light dialog box, you can control first down here the ambient light. Think of that as sort of like the work lights. You can turn the work lights on, you can have them at a low level. Usually when I'm working, I'll have it at medium or low, but as soon as I start writing light cues, I turn the lights off. We turn the work lights off, and we go from there. Another thing we can change is the beam intensity. And usually what I do is I have everything set globally. So when I select this here, all my lights, and I'm not 100% sure what this means, but all my lights are going to be at a medium intensity. Now we'll be able to control them 0 to 100%. I just leave it at medium, and that seems to work out okay. Another thing we want to do is, if you want to turn the haze on and off, depending on the show, you might want to have that. Some shows you don't really want to see haze in the lights. For writers to see the show that you're working on, you may want to have a little bit of haze in the air. So I'm going to select that and turn it on. And for right now, we're gonna call that good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up, and I'm going to go back to live, and we're going to start looking at some cues. Okay, I need to come back to augment. All right. So what I think we're going to do, I'm going to leave the work lights on for a little bit, but I'm going to start with channel 1, and that is the computer's representation of Roscoe 04. Okay, so I'm going to bring up 1 through 5. Okay, and we're still in well, we're going to come back here. I'm going to take that out, and we're going to come back into augment, into the edit. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to do a little bit of shuttering, okay, like we can do on stage. I'm going to bring up channel 1, okay, and you see it's sort of on the front of the pit. So what I'm going to do is we're going to shutter that just a little bit. So I'm going to come down here to patch, and we're going to do augment, and what we're going to do is we're going to do shutters. Now again, this is where it's going to help to have a second monitor, but I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of guesstimating. Okay, we want channel 1 shutters. Okay, so I'm going to try shuttering in just off and see if this is actually the bottom or if this is the top. So let's come back, and it looks like it's where we're shuttering it off a little bit. Now we can see it, so I'm just going to kind of rotate this around a little bit. I'm going to shutter it off the proscenium, swing it around. Okay, I like that. We're going to bring up channel 2, and we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to come through, and we're going to do this for all of our fixtures. Again, we want this to look as close. You know, if we want to start showing the director, we want this to be as close as possible to what we want it to look like. So I'm just going to shutter off this, and we're going to rotate it around. Maybe give it a little more shuttering here. And I'm going to come through and do that for all of my fixtures. Okay, so right now if I brought up 1 plus 2, it looks like they're shuttered okay. So if I bring up 1 through 5, we can see where we would need to do some more focusing, and there's other places on stage where we would want to do that. We're gonna leave those focused right now. I just want you to know that is how you adjust our shutters. Another thing we can do is beam edge, and we can make them sharper edge beams of light or softer edged. And again, I'm going to start at 0, and we're going to see what it looks like. So you just select beam edge, type in 0, and hit enter, and 0 is really fuzzy. And let's come back and let's do 100, and that should be all right. Well, that is let's try 50. Okay, so it looks like I'm a fuzzy focus guy, so I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna try typing in 25. No, maybe 15. Oh, 15. Okay. I think now for the beam edge, I think I would like that. So this is where you would do all of your beam shaping, I guess would be the word. We would be in augmented, and we would be in blind, and we would be in the Augment3D in patch, and this is where we set again our beam angle, our shutters, and our beam edge. So again, I'm not going to go through and make you sit through and watch me make all these changes, but that's what you would do if you were doing this to make it look like it was actually focused and done on stage. So let's keep on trucking. We're going to come out of, we're going to get rid of all this here. We're going to take them out, and now we're going to come back to the stage. We're going to come back to live. Okay, come back to Augment3D. All right. I'm going to now we're going to look at a few more focus things, and the first thing I want to look at is if you have moving lights or LED lights. So I'm going to focus. I'm going to grab a couple lights here. Okay, I'm going to grab just one. Okay, so I'm grabbing channel 41. Now I'm going to go add full, enter, and that turns that on. And then what I can do is I can bring up my quick palette up at the top of the screen, and we can do some panning and tilting. And again, working with the mouse is not the best, but this is, we're going to swing it around a little bit, and I'm going to put it on. I'm going to go, okay, we're going to get it down. We're going to get it onto that chair. I'm going to pan it down just a little bit. Nope, 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 other direction. Where'd you go? Light. Okay, getting down here. All right, cool. I just kind of click on it, and I'm going to rotate it around just a little tiny bit up the other direction. Okay. So without a track, without the wheels, it goes it's a little bit slower. But again, you have to look at the end game. The project that you're working on now is a paper project, but if you were doing this for real, this is going to save a huge amount of time when you get into the space if you can do some of this work ahead of time. So I have the light sort of pointed at the chair. It's focused there. Now I can come back and I can scroll over till we get over to Zoom, our form page. And again, I can just start bringing that up just a little tiny bit. Okay. And if I don't like my color, I can come back over here, and I can make my color essentially what I want to make it, but I want it sort of a warm color, a warm special on that chair. And that's how you focus moving lights and use moving lights. If the light that you choose had more things, if it had strobes, if you wanted to do that, or anything, you can do that through this. You can do it through this moving light palette here. So yeah, I have everything. We have our moving light focused. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. We're going to go to light. I'm going to turn off my I'm going to turn off my lights here, my work lights, and I'm going to bring channel 41 at out. Okay. So again, what we're going to do is we can start writing some cues if we want. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of bring up some fixtures again, just as a very quick reminder of how we're going to record cues. If you need to get caught up on that, I would recommend going back and looking at your Tech Skills Electrics notes. So here we go. We're gonna start. So my first cue, I'm gonna start with a blue out on stage. So let's see. I have my top lights. I'm gonna scroll up and we're gonna look and see. So my top lights are channel 18 through 24. So I'm going to do 18 through 24 at, let's try 50. Enter. Okay. And for the sake of this right now, I'm gonna use this. This is gonna be my blue out. So again, all you need to do, if you remember the keystrokes, you can do that. Otherwise, you can bring up the pop-up virtual keyboard up here, and we can record Q1, enter. We have Q1 recorded. Now, if we want to change the time, usually I believe the default time is 5 seconds. You do not have to keep it at 5 seconds. You can make it anytime you want. I'm going to make this be a 1 count because we're not doing it live. So I'm going to go time 1, enter. And now our time is set as 1. So now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to bring up all of my front lights, and we're just going to do a little scene. We're going to do 1 through 8. My warm lights at, I think we'll do these at 75. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 9 through 16. Those are my cool lights at, let's try 50. Okay. And I think for levels, that might be okay. The one thing again is, I remember we went back and I focused, and with a little bit more focusing and a little bit of softening of the beams of light, I think this would look pretty good. Again, I'm just showing you how to bring up cues or bring up channels and to record them. So now if we want to make this channel 2, okay, or I'm sorry, Q2, we come back and we can do record Q2. Now I'm going to make it set as time 3. Enter. All right. So now what we can do is we can look at it, and I'm going to just, we're going to go back, and I wish this would stay out of the way, but again, here, let's see if we can get it over here to the side. We can use some keyboard trickeration here. So right now it's in blackout. We go to our blue out, and then here's our first cue. Okay, and that's really it. I mean, I could spend a lot more time on this, but again, you've learned this and you know how to write cues. That's about it. So we're going to stop right there. And again, in this video, my croaky voice, I just realized that this is all due to the Bearcat game. I apologize, I sound like a frog. We had our lights up, we did a little bit of focusing, we did a little bit of shuttering, we did some softening and sharpening, we dropped colors, and we looked at adjusting moving lights, and we started and we wrote just a few very basic cues. So this is enough for you to go off and do awesome art with your light plot, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.